goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Cynical Optimists podcast. I am your host, haddowinc.
And I'm your co-host, NGM.
Now, hopefully, if you're watching this, it means you've seen the premiere episode from last week. If you haven't, go watch it. But now we are back again for a second week, which must mean this idea is worth doing.
Yeah, we did it. We had a podcast. We actually sat down at the same time together. We recorded. We uploaded it on time within the same week of recording it. We haven't received any death threats. It's a success.
We've got very low parameters for considering this a success.
Well, I think you got one more subscriber as well, didn't you?
Yeah, at current, I think it's driven one additional subscriber. So
there we
if you're
go.
listening, thank you.
That is a success.
Nice to have you on board.
We did about 3 hours work, and that has driven one more subscriber. If we were to do a full week's work, Phil, imagine all the subscribers.
Like 6.
This time next year we'll be millionaires.
That's like enough to fill a small living room.
We could do a live podcast with all the audience members. We could fill the O2, providing the O2 shrinks by about 89%. No, I'd say more than that. That's the worst estimate I've ever heard. Anyway, film and TV news. Shall we start with?
Well, I think first we should mention that we recorded last week and we're recording this week on a Tuesday for a premiere on a Friday.
Yes.
So last week we mentioned in our news about FIFA about all the corruption executives and blah blah blah, and it was literally like 3 hours later that Sepp Blatter resigned, and I thought, well, damn, that's a bit of news. That's now gone. So yeah, I mean, if anything, we predicted it.
We're topical, yeah, except we didn't predict it because the podcast went up on Friday, so yeah.
Anyway,
that was extremely I can't believe we were so outdated 3 days after we recorded it.
It's a rock and roll world.
Do you mind if I start with some non-TV and film news? If I promise to link our 2 news sections well at the end. Yes,
that sounds good.
There is a new Muse album.
Cool.
Yes.
When is it out?
It was out yesterday, and it's yesterday if you're listening to this, Monday. It's amazing. My highlights. Have you listened to it? Have you listened to anything?
No, I haven't heard any of the new album yet.
Okay.
Do you recommend
highlight? Oh yes, I would recommend it. My recommendations include Mercy, Psycho. Actually, just scrap that. All the tracks. I recommend all the tracks. So I'd listen to that as soon as you can. It's available everywhere, probably. HMV, iTunes. I'm not just an advert man for this, but anyway, back to what this podcast is actually about. Aquaman. That's not what our podcast is about specifically, but we were talking about it last week. It's got a director, James Wan.
Okay, what has he directed before?
James Wan, so he did the Saw films, Insidious 1 and 2, the most recent Fast and Furious film, which I haven't seen.
It does give you an impression of the tone that they're going to try and get with Aquaman, doesn't it?
What, so it's horror and Vin Diesel driving a car around.
Yeah. I want to play a game with you, Aquaman.
I mean, I quite like what DC's trying to do. Like, Marvel's approach is bring in sort of any director to make something a little bit sort of in the same template as the last Marvel film. DC seemed to be... by the looks of it, we've had James Wan, we've had Zack Snyder, Chris Nolan, whoever did Green Lantern. I think he directed a Bond film at one point. But I think they're trying to rope in sort of creative minds to make their
I think the MCU is very much as the baby of Joss Whedon, isn't it?
Yeah,
And everyone else they bring in is like, you can do your own thing as long as it follows the main, the
it's Joss
overarching
Whedon
thing.
and Kevin Feige. I mean, to be fair, Chris Nolan has a lot of. Well, actually, I say he has a lot of producing habits, but I can't really see him being in quite the same role as Whedon or Kevin Feige. But anyway, the constant Marvel DC debate, which will be on our podcast. Okay, the new Terminator film. Heard much about that?
I've seen the trailer for it. It just looks a bit silly to me. It's just a bit. It doesn't appear to make. I'd be interested to see it just because from the trailer, I'm not even sure how it makes sense.
No, I don't really either. But James Cameron, obviously the director of the first two Terminators, as well as Titanic, Avatar, etc., he has labelled it the third Terminator film. So ignoring the third Terminator
film
and Salvation.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually quite liked Salvation in a sort of funny way. I mean, it was different to the other three, but I mean, I quite like that sort of apocalyptic focus it had. Terminator 3 I thought was pretty bad, actually, to be fair.
I mean, it seems to be a trend with a few film series recently to make it like Days of Future Past essentially
wiping out.
Yeah, they seem to be like wiping out the shit films.
In fact, it does look very similar to Days of Future Past, actually. You've got sort of the time travel colluding and this, that and the other. So yeah, sort of a reboot, sort of not, like many recent films. Okay, going back to TV, the final Top Gear episode with the three hosts is to be aired on BBC Two soon. An advert went up yesterday, again Monday for the people listening. What do you think of that?
I saw the trailer. I hadn't really been keeping up much of the last series of Top Gear anyway, because I just hadn't been finding the time to view it. I mean, it's nice, but at the same time you get the feeling that the BBC is just like, well, if we don't show this footage, then it's just wasted production costs.
Well, no, yeah, of course. Yeah. For the cynical amongst you,
yeah.
But no, it'd be nice to see the format as we know it one last time, I suppose.
I hope they do something
until the three presenters get a deal with Netflix.
And it's called Top Cars
or Sixth Gear.
I could see it being called Sixth Gear just to be a middle finger to Fifth Gear.
Yeah,
in a sense.
Also, there's a new Ridley Scott film coming out. It's called The Martian. I don't know if you saw the trailer. Again, this was all yesterday as well. Starring Matt Damon.
Okay.
It's about Matt Damon getting lost in space. So presumably Matthew McConaughey will find him halfway through.
And he won't remember who he is, and he'll go on a rampage. And it will be...
Have you seen Interstellar?
No, I was talking about The Bourne Identity.
A joke of mine just went wasted on you, Phil.
No, I do. I get the reference.
Oh, okay.
I get that reference.
If you're listening at home and you understood that joke, please write in.
Is it going to be based off? Because I know, obviously, is it going to be the same universe as like Alien and?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
I
know Prometheus was supposed to be a standalone film, but it had lots of little. I'm trying to think of a good phrase. Ball tickling towards the Alien franchise. What was that phrase?
I don't really know.
Ball tickling. That'll do.
I mean, I know
Prometheus tickled aliens' balls.
Prometheus tickled aliens' balls. Just let that sink in your mind. You just heard that on recorder.
So maybe it might do similar ball tickling to how Prometheus linked in. That's a new phrase. I'm going to try and use that every week.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that as well. It's because Prometheus and Aliens were kind of based off the same guy's artwork, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he's passed away now. So
Neil Blomkamp or something. Can't remember
I'm
his
struggling
name.
to remember his name.
Yeah. But him basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Ridley Scott's a great director. I mean, I don't think some of his recent ones have stood up as well as some of his older stuff, perhaps. But I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see anyway. I'm always a big fan of sci-fi. Here's a big piece of news.
Yeah.
Doc Martin is getting a US remake.
Huh.
Yeah.
Why?
I literally have nothing to say about that.
It seems when American shows get brought over here, we're quite happy just to be like, yeah, okay, it was made in America.
Yeah.
We'll just have your version. It just seems easier.
Exactly.
Americans, they just seem to want to remake things American-ish.
For literally no reason.
And to be fair, not a lot of them have done all that well.
No. Oh, did you ever see American Life on Mars?
No.
God, that was awful.
I saw the trailer for American In-Betweeners and it just looked all kinds of wrong.
Gosh, yeah. They actually showed that on UK telly, I think, a couple of times.
Yeah, I think there was some channel that was silly enough to pick it up for
I think a few people actually watched it just to see how bad it was. It was one of those sort of shows, yeah. People watched it more out of curiosity than anything else.
I remember seeing the cast for it and thinking, none of these people are who I would like. They all seem to have been given their roles and then just switched them round. Because the guy that looked like he should have been Neil was like Jay or something. I was like,
yeah,
this just
so wrong, so wrong. Americans, just stop remaking your shows, please. Well, actually, The Office did quite well, didn't it? That's one example I can think of.
Yeah, like
Office did very well.
There's a few older counter examples as well where they changed the name completely. Like there's a few old American sitcoms which did very well, and it turns out they were loosely based on like English counterparts, but
right, okay,
they were changed so much that I wouldn't have been able to tell you that unless they had the Wikipedia page up in front of me.
Right, yeah, no, that's true. Which we don't.
No.
Right, are you ready for my tenuous link?
Yes.
A poster was revealed a couple of days ago for the Assassin's Creed movie. See, video games, yeah. I say it's a poster for the Assassin's Creed movie. It's very vague.
Is it just the logo?
It's the logo with an eagle and that sort of animus blue data squiggle thing.
Okay. And then just
the Assassin's Creed logo with the word "movie" written underneath.
That movie.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, that shows it's on the way to production at least. It doesn't show that they're particularly working on it, but it shows it's a thing that might exist.
shows that they've thought about it.
It shows someone in the Photoshop department didn't have anything to do that day, so just added the word "movie" underneath every single game case to Assassin's Creed. But Michael Fassbender's set to, I don't know if he's set to write, direct or star in it. I know he's linked to it. That's what they've been saying.
He'll play every role in it.
Yeah. I mean, judging. I mean, what can we deduce from the poster? There's an eagle, so maybe America. There's got the Animus sort of screen, so maybe they still retain the time travel-y thing from the games.
I don't know. I think though, if it really wants to be an Assassin's Creed movie, there needs to be one every single year. And at some point, one of the main characters just needs to fall through the floor, and then he's just written out the whole movie, just gone.
Yeah. Damn.
I would watch that film just to laugh.
I quite like the games, but I know there are, especially the most recent one was buggy as hell.
I watched my housemate play it because he'd been given it for Christmas.
Yeah.
Supposedly by somebody that hates him.
Right.
And he was walking past crowds of people, and like people were just disappearing from the crowds and reappearing. And this was a few months after the game had released. Like,
Really?
obviously they'd patched everything that broke the game, but there's still glitches.
Yeah.
Like, it's if Syndicate isn't better than Assassin's Creed Syndicate, the new one that's coming out this year, it doesn't.
That
like,
does look good, actually.
Yeah, but
Victorian England, isn't it?
yeah, I did find it a bit suspect though. Like, that it got leaked like 2 weeks after the last Assassin's Creed came out. Supposedly, when Ubisoft realised that they had fucked up, they were like, "Look, Victorian England, or French Revolution game. Fuck off. We didn't release a game last week. We're releasing this one next year. That's probably what you're thinking of, idiots."
Look, the movie.
Anyway,
there we go. I've done my tenuous link, so it's your turn now.
right, that moves us on to the gaming news from the last week. Now, in a similar fashion to how the FIFA news came a few hours after we recorded, we also got news of Fallout 4, which official release trailer was released either Tuesday or Wednesday last week, which is set in Boston, Massachusetts for this iteration, and its release trailer seemed to show like the before and after, which I believe is something they haven't really shown too much in the games before. Did you see the trailer?
I did see the trailer.
What did you think?
Looks fun.
There was a dog in it, so
Yeah.
the dog was probably gonna meet some kind of nasty end in the storyline, which is a shame.
I think that's illegal, actually.
Really?
Yeah, you're not allowed to kill dogs in things. The makers of I Am Legend, I believe they were hanged for killing the dogs.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a show to how cynical we've become as a society, that as soon as a dog appears on screen you think, oh no, it's gonna die, before you've even seen anything else.
And most of us don't give two flying fucks about the human protagonists, particularly. But the dog, no, don't touch it.
Anyway, that also there's been a lot of news from Steam this week. Have you seen any of it? I'll go. Well, first off,
Something about mirroring to tellies or something?
that is, yeah, they've announced their hardware, which is now available for pre-order. You have the Steam controller, which is supposedly meant to be good for both controller games and keyboard and mouse games somehow.
Right.
If you wanted a Steam controller, do you know how much that would put you back? How much that would cost?
15 quid.
£40.
£40
Yes.
for a controller?
Yes. Although supposedly it will work with every Steam game.
Right, so if you happen to have every Steam game, then you've got a controller.
Well, if you've got every Steam game, then that's like a penny per game, because there's like thousands of games. Just think of it that way.
Yeah, okay, good value. Yeah.
But what you're talking about is the Steam Link system. Now, the Steam Link allows for high definition streaming from your desktop or your computer or whatever to your main TV in your lounge.
Right.
So you'd plug it into your computer and you'd plug it into your TV, and then you'd play your game. Your computer would be playing the game essentially, but you'd be able to play it on your main TV.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Now that is also £40, but it sounds like it's a lot better value for money.
Yes, well, that's for us, definitely.
I mean, if you've got a desktop that you keep in your office or whatever, then I could see the appeal of because supposedly I think the Steam Link system itself, it's just a little box, but I think you can plug in your computer controllers into the box, so you'd be able to have your controllers in the other room in the lounge with you.
Oh,
but
nice.
there's still details on that to be announced.
Yeah.
And the third piece of hardware is the Steam Box, which is their console. Have you heard much news about this?
No, but this sounds interesting.
Now, essentially, the Steam Box, it's a Linux-based OS it will be running.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is there's lots of different versions. You can, like a PC, you can buy one for the purpose that you want it for.
Okay, that sounds like a genuinely quite a good idea, because people like me who have only recently sort of moved from actual consoles like PS3 and now have been using Steam and stuff on my laptop, but my laptop isn't necessarily powerful enough to run some of the better games on Steam.
Yeah.
Would this pretty much solve that issue?
Yeah. So at the moment, there's different manufacturers are making their own versions of the Steam box. So there'll be, I mean, if you were ever thinking of getting one, it's best to shop around all the manufacturers. Steam has a few of them listed.
Yeah.
Like one of the ones is from Alienware,
Right.
and the cheapest one. If you wanted the cheapest Alienware Steam box, how expensive do you think that'd be?
Well, assuming it's sort of like a rival to Xbox One, PS4, so just what's their PS4? 300 quid? Just so I'd say shy of that.
Oh, you are absolutely bang on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They start from $449, which converts into English money as just less than £300.
Nice.
So that'd be the cheapest one. You got some more expensive ones.
That's the cheapest Alienware one? But is there going to be cheaper other brand ones?
Well, the thing is, they're still announcing the manufacturers at the moment.
Right.
So that's the cheapest one I've seen. Like, there's also a manufacturer called Cyber, Syber, that's making them. But the cheapest one from them seems to be around £330.
Cool.
So it obviously depends on what you're looking for.
The problem there is I've always seen Steam, and with the combination of Steam and a gaming computer or something, as sort of the cheap option.
Yeah.
Like, I would have thought it should undercut a PS4. I mean, obviously, yes, the Alienware one does just about, but
I mean,
why would you not just get a better laptop for?
Yeah, that's my whole thing with it. Is like, I'm not. I understand how it's a dedicated console for PC games.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody, even if you've just got a few EA games, then the EA games now go through Origin, so you wouldn't be able to play them on a Steam box, presumably.
No.
And it's just all these little niggles I've got with it, so I'm gonna keep an eye on it, because it's
interesting.
It is interesting, but I'm not sure if I would, because my desktop is more than just a games machine for me.
And there will always be, yeah, exactly, yeah, that's my point, because that's why I've recently swapped to Steam, is because I can just have my laptop as literally everything.
Yeah.
Like, I can just bring it with me, plug in my nice $7.99 Argos remote, as opposed to the Steam's 40 quid one, and play anything I want on it.
Right. Now, I've got one more piece of news from Steam this week. Have you heard about the new Steam refund policy?
No.
Essentially, up till last week, if you bought a game from Steam, that was it. That was final.
Yeah.
Now it's a very, very. Now the policy has changed. If it's within 2 weeks and you've played less than 2 hours of the game, you can get a refund, no questions asked.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's getting very minimal backlash from people who apparently don't want consumer rights when they buy things. But, yeah, I think it's...
surely they should see that as more of a challenge. Try and complete the game within 2 hours.
Well, that's the thing. It's there's people arguing that if you've made a short game, then surely you're set to suffer. But other people have very well made the point. Like, if you're that sort of person who wanted to complete a game and then just immediately refund it, you'd most likely pirate it anyway. Because having to go through the refund system is just going to take you a while. It takes a few days to process and stuff like that.
Really? Oh, right.
It seems like a lot more effort than it was worth just to buy a game, complete it, and return it.
Right.
So,
I see what you mean, yeah.
And I think it's just good protection from like these Steam Greenlight games that are just broken when they go up. Like, if you buy it, then
Goat
you can
Simulator.
Yeah, because I mean, knowing that you can refund will hopefully make people a bit more willing to just buy games.
Yeah.
Like, and try them out.
Yeah, exactly. And that might help ease users of traditional consoles into Steam a bit more as well, I suppose.
Yeah, so I think it's something that they probably should have had this entire time, but it's a good thing that they have now.
Yeah.
Right.
I got bored of Goat Simulator after about an hour, so...
Right, next in the news is Mega Man. Now, Mega Man, for the last few years, has famously been, let's say, slightly neglected by Capcom, who own him, considering his main appearance in anything has been in Smash Bros. Last year, which is a Nintendo game. But now, apparently, Capcom have put a brand new producer onto the franchise as a whole, and there is a TV show in development, like a cartoon.
A TV show, Mega Man?
I mean, there's been one before in, say, like the 90s.
Yeah.
This will be a new one coming out next year, so it'll be interesting to watch the development of that. And also, yesterday, there was a lot of news yesterday, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was actually. Most of our stuff has come from Monday, if you're listening, which you are.
They announced the Mega Man Legacy Collection, which is just essentially just a high-definition PC and current systems re-release of the first 6 Mega Man games, which were the original 8-bit ones.
Am I right in saying there's been legacy stuff before in the same vein as that? Okay.
I'm not sure if this will be their way of testing the waters for another 8-bit Mega Man game, because it's a bit annoying. They're only including 1 to 6 when there's actually been 10 of the that series of Mega Man games.
Right.
So a few people are like, well, you always re-release 1 to 6. Why couldn't you re-release like 9 and 10? Those got very limited digital releases last console generation. But I think it's a step in the right direction from nothing.
Yeah.
And hopefully this new producer will start actually giving Mega Man things to do, rather than just kind of sitting there waiting to be put in other people's games.
Yeah. Pop up in another Nintendo game.
I mean, talking about Smash, the second DLC character will be out this Sunday, which is Lucas. This follows on from Mewtwo, who was put in a few months ago.
Right.
So there's DLC coming to Smash Bros, which is quite fun.
Yeah. I didn't know Nintendo knew what a DLC was.
No, they're getting good at it now. They've
really?
They've been practicing. They did some Mario Kart 8 stuff and they liked it, so they're going to do some more.
Oh, you don't mean when you say DLC for Mario Kart 8, you don't mean that horrendous Mercedes sponsorship thing, do you?
No, they actually released real DLC.
Oh, okay. The new GLA.
No, they did it with Vauxhall this time.
Oh, okay, nice, yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm joking.
God, imagine an Alfa Romeo Mario Kart DLC, just like Mario just has to pull over and let the car cool down.
MG.
But no, they did some DLC, for some reason they added Link from The Legend of Zelda as a playable driver. Out of all their characters in their franchises that can drive, they choose the man that rides a horse. I mean, the tracks they released are really good quality. It was really good quality DLC. I'd definitely recommend it, but it did leave a bit to the... did leave me umming and ahhing a bit. Like, you have other characters that drive cars in their games. But anyway, this leads us on to our main discussion, which is that E3 is fast approaching. It's next week, and we're going to go over the press conferences, say what we think might happen, and generally just talk games.
Yes.
So, there are 8 E3 press conferences, which I believe is more than they usually get.
Is it?
So, there is Sony, Nintendo, Bethesda, Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, Square Enix, and there's something called the PC Gaming Show.
PC Gaming Show.
Which I suppose is just PC exclusive games, but that's being run by AMD, the graphics card manufacturers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, there's going to be a lot to supposedly quite a lot of news. Let's start off with Sony, because it's first on my written down list. Now, the only thing I could find about Sony, there's a few first-party games that are coming. Like, I think there's going to be more news on Uncharted 4.
Right.
Which, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
But they're going to be announcing their first Project Morpheus games. Now, that's their virtual reality headset they've been developing.
Oh, okay.
So what do you think of virtual reality?
Well, haven't actually tried it myself. I was about to say I had to go on the Oculus Rift, but I haven't even had to go on that yet. They had a few at Goodwood Festival of Speed last year. All the manufacturers are using them for media hype, take a virtual tour around the track and this, that and the other. I mean, I think it's got applications. I don't know if it's necessarily there yet, because Oculus Rift, you can't really... Wait, is it? It's not even gone on sale, general sale yet, has it?
I don't think so, no. I think you can get an Oculus Rift, but it's like a development version or something.
Which is something like £1,000, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very expensive virtual reality at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, again, until it really does come down to a consumer market, I'm not sure it's particularly there. It's like Microsoft. Is it the HoloLens?
I think so, yeah.
They showed that video of the HoloLens, and it's so fictional. They haven't come anything close to that yet. I mean, I'm currently running Windows 8 on my laptop, and it's just like, that is not going to go to that in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
When it can barely handle a Skype call, I'm not going to be able to visualise things around me in 2 years' time.
Yeah. I mean, virtual reality, they'll have to make it cheap enough that people outside of philanthropists who buy any tech will actually want to buy it. And it'll need to have some kind of killer app. It'll need to have something that you have to get Project Morpheus to play this because it's so good, kind of thing.
I mean, actually, to be fair, if they could do something like Star Wars Battlefront or one of these fighting games with full open world experiences, that would be cool. I will admit, but I'm not sure it's going to be there anytime soon.
I mean, Nintendo pioneered motion controls, but at the same time, they weren't great when they first released.
No.
It's just lucky that, and all they used them for were pretty much just mini games.
Yeah.
The only games they had any serious application are games that I think suffered for it because
it was mainly the best games on Wii. The original one was just Wii Sports Resort and
yeah, and that even needed the add-on to make it better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and the motion controls can't give you motion sickness if they're done wrong. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to watch Sony's conference this year, but and be interesting to see what they've got announced. But unless it's actually a price that your normal person can afford, I can see it very much being a bit of a dud.
Yeah. But you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Right. I'm gonna save Nintendo to a bit later because I actually know some things about that. But I am gonna say Bethesda are doing their first ever press conference at E3.
And Bethesda, for those that don't know, that's me included.
Bethesda are developers of Fallout, the Elder Scrolls games, that's Skyrim, Elder Scrolls Online, and they've got a few more games under their belt. But until now, they haven't really been developing or publishing enough to really warrant a show, because a show at E3 is going to be an hour-long thing of just almost constant news and constant gameplay shows. So unless they show off an hour of Fallout 4 and then go, what, were you expecting something else? And then just storm off stage. I'm not sure. I'm going to watch it because I'm interested, but I'm guessing this is Bethesda taking their own steps from being a developer to more of a big publisher like EA.
Right, yeah.
Speaking of which, we should probably move on to EA. There wasn't much to say for Bethesda, but
that was a good link again.
Yeah, we're just getting better at this every minute that we record. We're getting better at this whole.
It's either an amazing link like that, or it's
Yeah, so EA, there's going to be Star Wars Battlefront there, which...
Yay!
I think that's going to get its own podcast episode dedicated to it.
Probably. If it's any good.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll actually see some real gameplay for it. Because up till now, they showed that in-game engine trailer.
Yeah.
But in-game engine means nothing, really.
No, it just means... Oh, it could render this.
It could.
Not saying it's going to.
We actually tried putting it on a PS4 today, and the PS4 set fire. So we definitely made the trailer an engine. It's just the engine was just too powerful. So this is actually not representative of the game that we're about to release. And also Mass Effect 4 is supposedly going to be there.
Right.
I mean, I assume there's going to be all the usual sports games. Like, I've never understood why EA have felt the need to do news on their sports games at E3. Because E3 is meant to be for new gaming announcements. And I'm not sure if there was anyone who for a second didn't think there was going to be a new FIFA. Like, oh, this FIFA game was good. I hope they release another one next year.
I hope we make it to 2016 so we can release FIFA 16.
I mean, we've been doing it pretty dependably.
Yeah.
For the last almost 20 years.
I don't know.
FIFA games.
They might pull out a shocker and release FIFA 19. just to fuck everyone up a bit, you know.
We've decided to switch to numbers at the end rather than years. What are we gonna do next? Woo! And there's
FIFA 2029.
There's probably gonna be some Sims expansion as well because it's EA, and their whole thing with the Sims now is make a Sims game with barely anything in it. Put everything that was in the last game back in it through expansions. Laugh in a big pile of money. Release some more expansions so people don't feel entirely fucked over. Rinse and repeat. But apart from that, I'm not sure if there's many more big EA games. There's not.
Why don't EA? Sorry, going back to FIFA. Why don't they take a leaf out of Assassin's Creed books?
Set it in different time periods.
Exactly. I've just thought of that. EA, I am for hire. If you want me, I can revolutionise your franchise.
See, I had a idea that they could do like FIFA Schoolyard, where like these, it was pretty much the same except it's all kids, so none of them have great stats as you'd expect, except for that one kid who's really fucking good, who scores all the goals. And if you put too much power down in your shot, there's a chance it might end up in the teacher's car park.
Yeah, and if you don't get picked on his team, you end up being the fucking loser.
Yeah. And if you're losing,
you get turned upside down for your dinner money.
if you're losing, rather than just rage quit, you press the Y button a bunch of times, and your character literally picks up the ball and goes home. And there's a small cutscene of you crying to your mum going, "Why are they always so mean to me when I play football?" I think it will be Game of the Year, personally.
Yeah. I can see other expansions. You could have FIFA Third World. You could just have it in just some sort of like dusty land. Just
oh dear.
And you're kicking around like a sort of like an old beheaded ox or something. I don't know. But I don't mean anything by this, by the way. I'm just throwing out ideas, you know.
Nah, I'm sure there's some EA executive listening attentively and making notes.
FIFA Future, you can have just... I don't actually know how that will work, but, you know, just think about it, you know?
Yeah.
Expand. Rather than just go 11, 12, 13. Just jump a few years or go back a few years. You could have the American Revolutionary War FIFA.
You could have that football game they played on Christmas Day in World War One.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. That'd actually be
nice as a special event.
That's actually quite a good idea.
Mm.
That's Phil. That's an idea because you know the last Gran Turismo game.
Yeah.
They put in a sort of weird level where you could race around the moon. in a little space buggy, and I was like, that's so cool. Why don't more games do like
Well, apparently
random shit like that?
apparently Assassin's Creed Unity had like it jumped to different time periods to like one of its sections and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe FIFA could adopt that.
Yeah.
I mean, talking of Assassin's Creed, I'm not sure how much there is to say. There's no doubt that Ubisoft will have some kind of scripted gameplay sequence for Syndicate, which will all go perfectly, and they'll be like, guys, we promise this one will not have any more than 5 bugs. Like 6 max. And only one of them will break the game. But we're not telling you which one. Please buy this Assassin's Creed game. We spend so much money on it to do it every single year.
That's the thing. I mean, obviously they would have worked out how to make maximum profits from a franchise, but I actually think I think it would actually do better if they slowed it down a bit. Yeah,
no, I agree. Like, I understand they can get them out a bit sooner because they have an awful lot of staff on it. I've heard there's like in the hundreds is like the staff that works on an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah,
and they reuse a lot of the engine assets each time.
Yeah,
but yeah, they could just take a leaf out of, say, Zelda or Grand Theft Auto's book and spend a few years on each iteration instead.
Or even Assassin's Creed 3 was quite a nice jump. That felt like a real step up from Revelations.
Or if you're going to spend a few years, like, if you want to release one every year, then do it more on the Assassin's Creed 2 kind of thing, where you have Assassin's Creed 2, and then you had 2 games which were the same engine, the same characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Just do it like that.
Because 3 and Black Flag sort of had tie-ins, didn't they? And that was cool.
Yeah. I'm not sure what there is to say on Square Enix, because all I know is that they're probably going to be showing off Mirror's Edge 2 and the new Final Fantasy, and I don't really know much about those games.
Okay.
I'm not sure how much there is to say about the PC gaming show, because there's people from Humble Bundle and Blizzard going to be there.
Okay.
Blizzard developed World of Warcraft.
Right.
I'm going to watch the PC gaming show because I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah,
it'd be nice
that's a market that's really picked up recently, isn't it, actually?
Yeah.
I mean, there might be some interesting stuff there.
It'll be nice if there is a nice focus on good PC indie devs as well, like highlighting the kind of varied gameplay you can now get on a PC might be the kind of thing that really helps it.
Yeah. Like,
if they just go and show a bunch of the popular games, and I think it'd be a real mistake to show any multi-platform games. Like, look at these games that you've probably just seen at the Microsoft or Sony conference. But you can also get it on PC, so that's nice. Apparently Valve won't be at E3, so I doubt there'll be anything more about Steam controllers or Steam boxes, but I wouldn't...
Right, okay. Steam boxes,
that's the console.
Yeah, I know, it just sounds like some sort of drug user thing. Got my Steam box.
Steam box.
You're going to join me on the Steam box tonight?
I think Microsoft didn't actually do too bad last year. The year before, they did a lot of focus on their apps and their movies and stuff, and got very people just didn't really like it, because at the end of the day, E3 has become known for games.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do more. I wouldn't be surprised if there's Halo 5 there, because Halo 5 is due out soon.
Alright.
And there might even be a new Rare game. Rare, who in the past did games like Banjo-Kazooie and things before they were bought by Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
They were stuck making the Kinect sports games, but the last one just didn't do very well.
Right.
So, as a result, they've kind of been freed from the shackles of Xbox Kinect. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with to show. I stay optimistic about that, although slightly cynical.
Ah, nice. You've done it again.
Now that brings us to Nintendo.
Does it?
Yeah, we've been through all the others, even if we just made off comments about them.
I know, but that wasn't a tenuous link.
That wasn't a tenuous link.
No. How does being a cynical optimist bring us to Nintendo?
How does it not? How does it not?
How does it not? Okay.
Now Nintendo this year. Last year there was Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which was one of their games they announced, which means there's now a game starring Mario, there's a game starring Luigi, Peach, Wario, Toad, but they are forgetting their most valuable asset and their best character, which is obviously Waluigi. So,
yes.
Nintendo's big hitter this year, this is just a wild prediction, but it will be called Waluigi, Purple is the Loneliest Colour. And it's going to be a dating simulator.
Wow.
But it's a date, as Nintendo does with all their ideas, it's going to be with a twist in that there's dialogue trees, but none of the dialogue is good. So you go on these dates, and it's like, oh, this cafe's lovely, says your date, and then Waluigi has the option to say, you smell like onions, I hate you, I'm going to the bathroom to climb out the window and just leave.
That sounds like a great idea.
Wouldn't you play that game?
I would buy that game. I would buy a Wii U to play that game.
And it's going to come with 100 different Waluigi amiibos. Each one adds a new unique line of dialogue to the game and has a different pose. So if you buy all the Waluigi amiibos, you could just have them lined up in all these different Waluigi poses and just not think about all the money you spent on the amiibos. Because you have all these Waluigis, you no longer need anything else.
Anything else.
Just Waluigi.
Break up with your partners. Stop eating. You've got Waluigi.
Purple is not the loneliest colour anymore. Because Waluigi is here. But seriously, if I'm to go to things that they might actually do...
How is that not one?
Well, I stay hopeful because, Game of the Year 2015 and all that. There's going to be the new Star Fox game there. And there's supposedly quite a few games that have yet to be announced, which are going to be there. I suppose there's going to be at least one Mario sports game there. There's probably going to be maybe some new other entries into other series. Like there's quite a lot of interest around the F-Zero games at the moment because of the Mario Kart DLC included 2 F-Zero themed levels, which is the racing series with Captain Falcon in it.
Right.
And they could potentially use the same engine as Mario Kart 8 due to the fact that Mario Kart 8 is almost an F-Zero game in itself, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some mention, but at the same time, it's Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't give a shit what you think.
This choking on my water.
See, we're meant to have the water so we don't choke.
Yeah, exactly. That's meant to sort of clear our throats and keep us going, but it's just temporarily immobilise me. Sorry, do continue.
Yeah, Nintendo does not give a shit what you think. Nintendo will release the games that it wants to release, and if you're lucky, you'll enjoy them. Although saying that, Splatoon did well.
Oh God, we're back to Splatoon again.
Well, it just keeps on coming to my mind because I'm not sure if I'm a squid or a kid. Because at one moment I'm a squid, and
that's
then the
not
next
going to be
time
our
a
theme
kid.
tune again this week. Ooh, actually, we need to think up one.
Yes.
We were trying to sort of, what have we gone through today?
We haven't come to any
theme tune. We could have Aquaman theme tune. We could have
we could have your coughing.
We could have my coughing. We could have one of the new Muse songs.
We could do a Waluigi voice and sing "Blue is the loneliest colour," but just replace blue with purple.
Yeah,
because that's obviously going to be the theme tune to that game. Purple is the loneliest colour that you'll ever do.
That's the theme tune right there. Well done, Phil.
Have you seen the video which is called "It's a Cold and It's a Broken Waluigi"?
No.
It's the song Hallelujah, but rather than Hallelujah, it's Waluigi. So it's a cold and it's a broken Waluigi.
Is that already a thing? That's not.
That is a thing.
That is a thing. Okay, that's our theme tune this week. Nicely done.
Ah, thank you. I'm glad I contribute a little. Yeah, so there's not much more to say on, I don't think. I think it'll be interesting to see what companies do. There's probably going to be some news about a Dark Souls 3.
Right.
Considering they've now completed Bloodborne, which was essentially Dark Souls but PS4 exclusive.
Right.
But yeah, there's other... I mean, you can look at E3 rumours all day, but the thing is, you'll get such a variety based on what people genuinely want to see.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really sure. There's going to be Mario Maker there to make your own Mario levels.
Ooh.
I know. It's to celebrate 30 years of Mario.
When you say Mario, you mean on like the original Mario Brothers?
You can change it. Like, you can have the different
cool.
art styles from Mario 1, Mario 3, Mario World, or the new Super Mario Bros. Series. Like, you can change it.
Oh, cool. That is quite cool, actually.
I mean, it will depend on the price, because if they want to make it a full boxed release and charge, like, the same as a regular game, I can see a lot of people going, no. But if it's, like, say, 20 quid, then...
Oh, yeah.
If it's nicely decorated, like 30 years of Mario and stuff like that, I can see it getting interesting.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
But yes, I mean, is there anything in particular you're looking forward to from this year's E3? Yeah.
Well, I am a man stuck with a slightly laggy computer with Steam. I'm on a last gen PS3. So I've got nothing. I haven't got anything, have I can really do. I mean, I might actually invest in a PS4 at some point. In which case, I think Star Wars Battlefront announcements is probably going to excite me the most because it's Star Wars.
I mean, I've forgotten to. Well, I haven't mentioned the Batman Arkham Knight at all, but that's because it's supposedly out at like the end of this month, beginning of next month.
Right. Yeah.
So it will probably appear at E3.
But there won't be any big announcements for it.
Maybe just DLC, but
yeah.
Like, if you've seen have you seen the price of like the premium edition version of Arkham Knight?
How much is the premium edition?
It's like double the price of like the standard. It's like £65 or something.
Ouch.
And that's basically just the game and its season pass. So
what for the DLCs? Christ.
Supposedly there's going to be a lot of DLC. But it does also make you think, why couldn't more of that been in the base game?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, I hate this DLC reliant stuff.
Yeah, I do respect Nintendo because they always finish the game before starting on the DLC.
Yeah, exactly.
So their DLC is very much designed based around what the customers are kind of like, what it appears that is missing from the game based on customer use, like,
or if people have finished the game and then want something else with the game, then they can release a DLC which can sort of update it. Yeah, that's what
it's like
they were. Now it's like
when you get DLC announced with the game, it's like it does make you think how much of that could have been in the.
It's as annoying as those shitty in-app purchases you get on tablet and iPhone games. Yeah. It just does my head in.
I mean, occasionally you get those games which you've paid for the game and then you have to pay even more for the in-game purchases, and it's like, oh, what's the point in that?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you're paying for the game, you should either give the game for free and then... I don't mind a few in-app purchases then, because usually you can get away with doing enough without having to pay a penny. But it's like, if you've just paid like 40 quid for a game or something as it is at launch nowadays, you don't want to be paying any more
No, exactly.
until, like, for a while, until maybe some DLC a bit down the line. Just all seems a bit crazy to me.
Oh, I know. They should be. Yeah, DLC should be a bit like sort of a midlife refresh for a game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like before the next game comes out, sort of just update it to give it a bit extra.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's some games it's benefited a lot, just like, you've played the game and then you've put it down, but then the DLC comes out and you pick it up again.
Yeah,
like,
because then it's sort of, it gives the developers more time to make the next game, and it gives the consumers something else to do, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So there we go. We've just solved it.
Yes, we've solved
We've solved DLC problem.
We've solved a lot of problems on this week's Cynical Optimists.
We have.
We've designed at least 5 more FIFA games for them to make. We've solved the majority of problems in most other companies. We've given Nintendo their next hit IP.
Yeah.
I think, you know...
And if you want more Cynical Optimist fixes, there's a DLC available on our website.
No, we announced it when we announced the podcast.
Ah, yeah, of course, yeah. There's
the
this free podcast, and then if you want more content, $14.99.
And you can get an undertrack for this podcast of Nick coughing the entire way through.
And Phil singing... What was it? Blue...
Purple is
purple.
The full track of Purple is the Loneliest Colour.
And that's available on iTunes now.
See, there's just so much going on. So I think that's us about done for this week.
That's us about done for this week. Next week, what's happening next week?
Well, next week our recording will probably fall slap bang in the middle of E3.
So we'll have
some kind of
that'll be included in your gaming news.
Yeah, and if there's some kind of, we'll have a topic.
We'll have a topic for discussion at the end. Alternatively, if you want any topics discussed,
leave us a comment.
Leave us a comment, yeah.
Or send us tweets.
Tweet us, yes. I'm at Nick_Mortimer.
Mortiboard.
I'm at Nick_Mortimer. Oh, I can't even say my own fucking name.
It's in the description.
It will be in the description.
Yes, as will mine. Haddowinc.
As will Phillip's. But yeah, leave us a comment if you want any topics discussed. If not, we'll throw some at each other. Literally, it hurts. And that's about it.
Yeah. So we'll hopefully see you next week. If you've enjoyed the podcast, then leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you're crazy enough to want to watch it again. And I've been haddowinc. I'll see you next week.
And I've been NGM. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.